Hey everybody, this is Kimberly with Starfish Design Embroidery. Today we are going to be making the panel pouch. This is a little unlined pouch that I designed specifically to use with the My Punk Embroidery 5x7 panels. So it should work with all the panels. I kind of measured on their website to make sure if it's going to work for all of them, and it should. The cutting, so it'll be a 5x7 hoop. You can see mine's a little puffy because the vinyl I used. You can work with that in the video. I tell you how to handle that. But look how adorable that is. Such a cute little bag. And so these are some of the vinyl panels so that they have the kitty cats. I have the dogs somewhere. There's another kitty cat and the mushrooms. So cute. I have the same mushrooms. So cute. And I don't know where I put the doggy ones, but I have the doggies somewhere too. So this is just a quick little stitch because it's unlined. It goes really fast. And you know, I normally like to do stitch and flip method, but to make this even more quick and more decorative, I did a raw edge. So I used my cute little pinking shears to give a decorative edge. I didn't line mine up very well. You'll do better than me. And then you stitch it down twice. So there are 2 stitches. So if you want to do the stitch and flip method, which is where you stitch it with the wrong side facing down and then flip it down and top stitch, you can do that. The same pattern, same exact pattern. So if you want to line it, you can do that same exact pattern. I show you how in the PDF. But we're not lining it now. This video is not about the lined version, but I will put a link in the PDF and down below of a version, a similar bag that is lined to show you how to do the lined version. This is meant to be a quick project. I don't know. I'm talking during the video, so I can't tell you how long it will take, but I think you could probably cut this out and have this done in 15 minutes. Very cute, very easy. Now, if you were going to do lining, it'll take a little bit longer because you have to do all that hooping, changing to the back of the hoop, going to the front, all that good stuff. This is quick, easy. It'll work with a number 3 or a number 5 zipper tape. A number 5 zipper tape, you're going to have these crescents right up on the zipper tape. So keep that in mind in order to facilitate that. This 5 zipper tape is wider than the 3. So this is 3 millimeters wide. The 5 zipper tape is 5 millimeters wide. So when you go to place this, you'll place it right against the teeth. You can do that here too. I just chose not to. Okay, what else do I have to say? Tools you'll need, scissors, of course, your 4-in-1 tool from Alex Anderson. Love this thing, or other favorite tools for turning, seam ripper, all that good stuff. This is everything in one. It's got the little iron, seam ripper, pointing device for turning out corners, and a stiletto. Love this thing. We're not lining this bag, so we don't need the glue to close the lining. You need clips, might be helpful for holding down the edges at the end, as I described in the video. What else am I forgetting? Then your materials, your zipper, your panel, your other material to go along with the panel, and stabilizer, which I used tearaway. That's it. So I hope you like this little panel pouch, and if you like my videos and my products, please consider subscribing and hit the bell to get notified when I have a new pattern released, and join my Facebook group if you have any questions. Thanks everybody. Let's get started. Hey, Future Kimberly here. Popping in. I decided to do the bag in the 5-inch zipper as well, and I wanted to point out a few things that I've changed since this video was taking. I went ahead and decided I wanted to slightly curve the corners so that you don't have the puffy corners. So this is what the bag looks like, and I had this laying underneath my warm laptop while I was working today. See how you get these little corners? They're just really hard to avoid when you're doing an online bag like this. The vinyl wants to come inside here because there's no lining to hold it. So we're just going to curve those little corners out. The other thing I wanted to point out, I forgot to do on that one, so you won't see it in the video, I went ahead and added another line of back tacking over this zipper tape. Without that, I have found with online bags over time, this threading, if you only do one layer, even if it's a bean stitch, if you only do one stitch of it, one length of it, it will break apart over time from the zipper being pulled and constantly. When you have the lining, you have another layer of stitching, and inherently from stitching the lining down. One thing to keep in mind, I say this in some of my videos, these embroidery machines are meant to do embroidery. We are making them do things that they are not designed to do. So if you have a combination machine, you probably have a little bit better effect than some of us with the single needle machines that are only embroidery, because on a combination machine, they have to have the sewing capabilities all set up properly for sewing garments and bags and things like that. But that's not the focus on an embroidery only machine. So we're asking it to do this, and at least for me on my Janome 500E, sometimes my stitching is not, the tension is not really great on the back. You can kind of see, where'd it go? I lost it. Look, oh, right here. You can kind of see right there. It's not quite great there. But on the front, it looks great. And that's because this is going to be in an ideal world. And usually with some kind of backing behind it. So keep that in mind. It's difficult, and you can play around with your tension settings. It's not recommended, but sometimes it's difficult to get what you want on an embroidery only machine. When you're using a multi-needle machine, it's a whole nother ballgame. Those are geared towards the home business. They're much more powerful, and they can do a lot more than our single needle embroidery machines. One last thing from future Kimberly, this video is going to be much longer than it needs to be, is keep in that mind when you're choosing materials. I have not had good luck doing TPU and jelly vinyl. I've actually had very inconsistent luck with jelly vinyl. It's so much so that I actually have a PDF and a test file in the files in my Facebook group. So if you want to try around with your machine to see if it works, instead of wasting a lot of money into TPU, you can cut some small samples off and see how your machine handles it, and or work with the tension on your machine to get it to work. So just a side thought, because we are doing an online bag, I wanted to point that out, because this file would work for clear vinyl or jelly vinyl, the same file. It doesn't, you don't need to use the panels. I'm just doing this because, you know, like I said, my punk is my favorite one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this right side out, and I am leaving that little stitching there because I want to show you what the number 5 zipper looks like. So I'll be right back. Future Kimberly out. Future Kimberly is back again. So one thing I want to point out to you, right off the bat, you're going to see my stitching is a little bit wonky here. It's because I didn't have this inner tape, zipper tape centered well. I should have redone it. I could tell when it was doing the tack down. And you can tell that by see how much closer this line of stitching is than this line of stitching. That's why. So be mindful of that. Make sure it's centered, else you're barely going to catch it like I did here. It's okay. It still looks fine. But and one more thing. Oh, sorry. Kimberly just got excited. I didn't even plan it this way. And look, my lines matched up perfectly with the backing. Oh, how cool is that? Anyway, sorry, got a little excited about that. If you wanted to do a clear vinyl bag with this file, then you would probably want to only do one of these lines of stitching, because otherwise, especially if your tension's not great, I showed you the back of it just now, it doesn't look as clean. And when it's clear vinyl, you can see it. Well, I really monkeyed this up. Let's see how it's not there. Anyway, you'll do better than me. This is why I don't like this style of bag, because if you mess up the zipper and don't get it perfect and it's a stitch and flip, it's not as obvious. But on something like this, it's more obvious. So, but anyway, my whole point of this was I wanted to show you what a number 5 zipper tape looks like versus the number 3. So obviously with the number 3, I kind of offset it away from the zipper teeth a little bit, and you see it's still caught. So I've just proven you can take it all the way up to the teeth if you want, if that's easier for you, do so. But you see there's a little bit more of the zipper tape showing. In order to catch this seam, I needed to push this all the way up to the zipper, else it wouldn't have caught it. And this little thing, the little trim is covering up the zipper tape you normally would see in a sewn bag, a turned bag. So that's what the difference is between the number 5 and the number 3, how it will look. It's just a difference in how thick. So when you're doing one of my regular bags, I show this in some bags. The only difference in the finished bag is how much of this actual zipper tape you see in the finished zipper on one of my traditional bags. But anyway, here's an example for you. I just wanted to pop this video in here before I finished the demonstration for you so you can see what the difference is between those zipper types. Carry on. Okay, so let's get started on the panel pouch. So I've gone ahead and stitched out the first die line placement, and it's got some tick marks here for registration. This is the center, and this is what would be the center of the panel. It's a little hard to line this up because you're gonna, if you do the turned version of the flip and stitch, it might not line up very perfectly, but I gave it there just as a reference. We are going to do an online bag with this video. This file you can do a lined bag with as well. So the last, second to last step will be to stitch the lining. So we'll skip that when we get to it. So this is only 10 color stops. Actually, it's only 8 because the 9th is the lining and the 10th is when the one we don't run because we want to prevent the machine from coming back to center and getting stuck on hardware. So this is really simple pouch, and we're not going to do the stitch and flip where we normally would stitch it, flip it, top stitch it. We're going to do raw edge because we're using a non-frame vinyl here. So we can do the raw edge. Now, Kimberly doesn't do very many of these designs. Y'all know it's not my favorite, but these panels are so adorable and they need to be used. So I wanted to create a design that's just for these panels. And a lot of people are limited to the 5x7 hoop. So what we have for materials are our panels here. So of course we have our panel. I'm doing the little kitty cats. Oh, how cute are they? I'm not even a cat person, but I'm sorry, these are freaking adorable. Then we have a top panel because this is going to be a front zipper bag, so it's friendly to all users. And then, one thing I didn't check. Oh, we're going to be cutting it close. I'm going to have to be very careful placing this. I'm going to have to squeeze the bag in just a tiny bit. So by the time you get it, it'll have a little bit more margin here because the way it's cut. So can you see that? We'll have to be really careful. That's one thing I didn't measure. So when you get the file, it'll be bumped in just a tiny smidge so you have more seam allowance here. We're going to go with it. So what I've done is, okay, so we have our panel. We have our backing fabric. Then we have our top panel. And I did cut it a little, generous. And then I'm just going to put a tab at the zipper on this side, actually. It just helps to hold it when you're zipping, or you can loop a split ring or anything through this if you want. You can put a D-ring strap connector, whatever you want. I'm just going to do it as a little tab. So since I'm doing a flat panel or a raw edge design, I use my decorative pinking scissors to give that cute little edge there. If you guys are interested, these are not regular pinking shears. They are from P. Loader. I'll see if they're still on Amazon. I got them on Amazon and link them below if they are. But they have this little shell-like pattern instead of a traditional pinking. So this is the time to get out those decorative scissors. Okay, so that's our parts and pieces. And of course we have to have a zipper. Now, if you have been following me for a while, you know my bags work with number 3 and number 5 zipper. You don't have to buy separate files. So I'm going to show you on a number 3 because I just so happen to have this finished zipper sitting here, and it just so happened to be the right color. So we're using it. So with the number 3 zipper, you'll see there's 3 lines here. So you're going to ignore this line. This is our top line for helping you with placement of your material, the general outline of the bag. So you want to pay attention to these 3 lines here, right? So this is our center, and these are the 2 outer lines. The number 3 zipper is going to fall right between these 2 outer lines. The center of it should still fall over the center, but it's just a little easier to line a number 3 up. If you're going to use number 5 zipper, you're going to take and turn the zipper over. And of course, I have none sitting here. I always have number 5 zipper tape sitting here. Where did it go? Okay, let me grab this big piece here. Sorry. Okay. There goes my zipper tape. So with the number 5 zipper, you're going to look behind here and see this negative space that's created from when the zipper opens. You're going to line this line of this negative space up with the center line, the one with the circle on it. So you'll line it up like this on that center line all the way down the hoop and tape it down. But we're going to stick with this number 3 zipper tape. And we need some, I have just regular tearaway hooped because we're not lining this, so tearaway is fine. And I'm using 3M transport tape. I like to tape everything down because I don't want needles going through it. Now, this is a very large zipper, and I have some pulls that might be able to go on this and use some of it, so I don't want to waste it all. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of eyeball this and cut it to size so I don't lose it all. So you'll see you want to make sure that your finished zipper, if you're using a finished zipper, is at least 2 inches longer than the placement line. I just lost that piece of tape I had. Okay, what did I do with it, Kimberly? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to line this up in between there, and you want to overlap it into the seam allowance by about 1/4 of an inch. And I like to tape it down on one end. And you'll see this zipper tape is actually just slightly less than 1 inch. You can see my lines here. It's probably 7/8 inch, and my ruler just fell, so I can't double check myself, but I think I measured it the other day and it's 7/8 inch. So you can never take the rules for granted. Some zipper tapes are wider. Like I bought some custom number 5 zipper tape, and it was only 1 1/8 inch wide instead of 1 1/4, which is what most number 5 zipper tape is. So I'm just centering it, and then, so this is a case where if I'm not 100% sure, I could have used that center line on the back, but we're just winging this and we're going to go with it. Might be a little bit cockeyed, but that's fine. Okay. So I like to tape everything down so I don't have to worry about having any fingers in here. And then we're going to go ahead and run color stop 2. And it's going to tack the zipper down, and then we'll be right back. All right, so we have our zipper all taped down now. We can go ahead and remove the tape. And if the stitches went through it, that's okay. It will come off pretty easily. And you can reuse these pieces of tapes, usually 3 or 4 times, depending on what vinyl and surface. Sometimes it gets fuzzy. Oh, that stitch, it wasn't secure enough. I have issues with tension on my machine, and it just came right out. That's okay. We're past that step anyway. This one's holding it down, or it'll be good. I'm going to go ahead and put the tape down on the top again, just to hold this until we do the top piece, then we'll be fine. You could always just go ahead and put this back on your machine and run that step again. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and lay my bottom panel down, and I want to try and center it with those tick marks I made, but we're laying it right side up because we're doing a non-fraying raw edge bag. So go ahead and fold it in half. Just kind of get a little bit of a crease there. This has got the flannel back. Normally it's not my favorite to use for an online bag, but that's what it is. So I'm going to check down here and make sure everything looks nice and even, and it does. Now I'm going to flip this around so I can look at it more carefully. I don't want this so close to the zipper teeth that it impedes me using the zipper, but it needs to be pretty close to the zipper, and you want it to be even all the way down. See how that is? I'll tape it down and then I'll lift it up for you. And we're going to tape this down all around. Now, normally what you'd be doing would be doing our stitch and flip. You'd be having this right side facing down, the other direction. You would go ahead and stitch it and then flip it down and top stitch it. So that we can accommodate the same file for both of these, we're going to double stitch this because you need extra strength. If we just do one strand of stitching, it'd be really easy for that to come undone and your whole bag to come undone. So we're going to run both stitches. So I made them the same size bean stitch so they don't look wonky. But it's, again, it's the same file. So I will link a different video below that shows you how to make this in a lined format. The same exact steps. I think the only difference is where the bag is open might be a little bit different. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and run, because we're not going to do the lined version. We're going to run both the tack down and the top stitch. So that's number 3 and number 4. We're going to run those, and hopefully I line this up well. I can see where my, oops, sorry, my phone just went wonky on you. I can see where the needle is about to come down. See, if I push the needle down, you can see it's going to go right through that area that I need it to go through. So we should be good on that. So let me lift this back up. I don't want my needle to be in the wrong place. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and run step 3 and 4, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so we've ran in 3 and 4, and I didn't tape mine down very well. And you see what happened as a result. See how it's a little puffy right there? Because I didn't tape it well enough down and I didn't catch it fast enough, the stitch is not quite even across here. So you want to make sure. You see how it kind of fell down because I didn't tape it. Use plenty of tape. Make sure that doesn't happen to you. It still looks cute. It's still operational. It's fine. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and run the top panel. And we're going to do the exact same thing, only we're going to try and make sure we use enough tape this time. And also remember I had an issue with that not stitching there, so I want to make sure it's covered well. So I'm going to go ahead and position this, and again, you can fold it in half and center it if you need to. And I want to try and get, again, we want the cut edge close to the zipper edge. You really are having it about 1/16 of an inch away from the end of the zipper teeth. So you're just eyeballing it, but you want to have enough room that the zipper pull does not stick on the vinyl as you're going along. And I'm going to tape this down pretty good. See how that is? See how it's baggy here? I almost would have messed up again, because if I run my finger along here, which is what the presser foot's going to do, you see what it's doing? It's creating a little pucker there. So you need to make sure that that's not going to happen to you. So I need to redo this piece and make sure it's very taut. And I'm going to tape it up here at the top too. And then what you can do, which I neglected to do fast enough when I was doing the first row, is use your 4-in-1 tool or whatever you have, your screwdriver or whatever, to help guide it. And already you can see I got it off kiltered when I taped it up here. So I'm going to loosen it again. I know it's a little bit fastidious to do this over and over, but the better you do it, the better it looks and the more professional it looks. Or the better you line it up. So that's good. That's just a little bit too close compared to this one. So let's adjust that just a slight smidge. So it kind of matches and we have the same amount of zipper showing on both the top and the bottom. Those are small little pieces of work that you can do, or attention to detail, that makes a difference. There we go. That should be good. I hope. So, all right. Now we're going to run, just like we did before, we're going to run the tack down and top stitch. I'm going to check, make sure my needle is going to be positioned. And in this case, it's actually not. You see where my needle is going? So I'm going to have to adjust my panel just a little bit more, closer to the zipper, so it catches on that first attempt. Hopefully this will work. I think I didn't get my zipper lined evenly enough, and that's why it kind of looks wonky. Okay, so we're going to run steps 5 and 6 and hope we catch that, and then I'll be right back. Here's where we're at now. So it did catch it. Of course, you can tell this is not my forte. Some people do this all the time, and they're really good at lining that up. It's not my favorite thing, so I don't do a lot of these designs. But you'll do a better job than me. It's still going to be cute in the long run. Make sure you trim all these little tails as you go along. So we can go ahead and remove all the tape now. And we want to open up our zipper because we're going to stitch the little placement for the tab. Well, we use this tape to hold down the tab, the tape that we can. Okay, so go ahead and open your zipper so it's about halfway through to the bag, so it won't get caught in the tab or anything. Normally, if you're going to stitch over this level of zipper where it's open like this, you would go ahead and tape over that to hold it closed so your presser foot doesn't open it. But since we're putting a tab there, we don't need to worry about that. So I'm just folding the tab in half, and I'm just centering it over that zipper tape into the seam allowance by about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to tape this down. Just like that. It's kind of centered. You can use the top stitching as a reference as well for centering it. Okay. Now we're going to run step 7. So you can totally skip 7 if you're not running this little tab. If you're not adding the tab. So I'm going to go ahead and run step 7. And we are still just using a 7511 needle here. We're not going through a lot of needle or a lot of layers, so it should be fine. If you're doing the lined version, at this point you'd want to move over to a larger needle, like a 9014, because there's a lot more layers to get through. Okay. And now let's trim this little tail because it will be in our way if we don't. Okay, so that guy was just to hold it down. So now we're already on to our last step. So we want to take our back material and we want to center that over our hoop. And if you have to kind of peek under here to get the original die lines, you can, but it's cut generously enough so you shouldn't have to worry about that. I'm just going to make sure it's over at the top enough. And now we can tape it down. We use some of this tape we used. And this material, this vinyl, I'm using the Stardust. It can kind of get a little stretchy when it's going around. So be mindful of that. You don't want puckers in it. And it's just, for this final stitch, it's just going to stitch all the way around like that. So it could start to get that. So you need to keep an eye on that. Make sure it's not stretching in any way, especially in areas where you can't really get a good tape on it because of the hoop size or the material. So I'm using a lot of tape here and trying to get it onto the hoop, just like this. Okay, just like that, we're ready to finish this bag. So we're going to run steps 8, which is going to go around and stitch this, and I'm going to keep this handy so I can kind of guide it. Watch out, your zipper pulls right there, so make sure if it's dingly-dangly one, you might want to tape it down. And we're going to run that, and I'll be right back. Okay, just like that, we're done. So it's moved us down to be in position for doing the lining, but we're not doing the lining. So this is it, we're done. So we're going to go ahead and remove the tape. Everywhere. I keep it all on my low hoop, and then I clean this off regularly. I'm overdue for that because I actually did clean my machine and oil it this weekend, but I didn't do the cleaning of the tape. It requires rubbing alcohol. All right, so let's go ahead and set this aside. I'm just weird. I like to keep my hoops cooked together when I do that. Now we could go to the back and just gently tear off our tearaway. You don't want to cut your stitches. So you kind of hold it against here. But remember, you have that original die line. Sometimes you might actually have to cut that like this so it doesn't pull out your stitches. Sometimes it might get integrated into your main bag. So just keep your scissors handy. And you can see here's the this is our seam and this is our die line. See if you're a little confused. So if you guys know how to do this, you just kind of hold the seams and then you pull against it. And believe it or not, this is not my expertise because I don't do very many of these kind of bags. So I'm usually always using poly mesh cutaway. So just carefully and cut those, stretch it, those registration line stitches anywhere you need to, so that you don't pull out, you don't want to pull out your main stitches. You can see it'll catch you every time. There's one stuck there. It's those registration marks. I had to make those go inward so I have enough room in the hoop. Okay, so there's that. And I did have a piece of tape on here I missed. Okay, now we want to go ahead and remove it on the top here. And it usually will come right out. But you might need to get your seam ripper out and give it some guidance. Okay. And again, I have registration marks that are kind of pulling. We don't want to do that. So now, just so I can get in here, I'm going to use my seam ripper and kind of poke up at this little stitch here. This little paper. You can leave this one in if you want to, but I prefer to get all out. And just kind of guide your seam ripper across to loosen it. Don't cut your stitches. And then you should be able to fold it back. This is a time when those little tweezers are very helpful. Of course, I don't know where mine are at because I don't use them very often. But you know what I'm talking about. They're great for holding threads and such when you're doing embroidery projects. Okay, now that's gone. So now let's do the same thing here. We're going to just kind of loosen this against those stitches. It should pull out. You can actually just use even your stiletto to do this and not the seam ripper. So I'm just carefully pulling it apart. I'm going to cut down here, or if the zipper is stuck because of those placement stitches, I'm just going to lightly loosen it out. There we go. Just careful, holding the stitches so you don't tear your main stitches. Okay. And then you can make your choice whether you want to try and get this tiny little bit of sliver out here. I'm going to make a choice that I'm not going to, because nobody's going to look in the bag and see that. Okay, so look how evenly, this is almost perfect, but I'm going to take the bag in a smidge, about 1/8 of an inch, so you don't have to worry about it running out. Oh, I still have tearaway right here, guys. Carefully tear it away. Almost forgot this one. Big piece there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and trim the bag around about 1/8 inch from, 1/4 to 1/8 inch around to the side of. So I'm going to do it from the back, or the panel side, since that was the more narrow side here. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. And sometimes if you have these wider pieces like this, save those because they come in handy to do for strap connectors. Ooh, I got really close on that seam there. Ooh, goodness sakes, Kimberly. Okay, so what I like to do at the corners is I like to just kind of taper them. I don't like to just cut it straight off. So I like to taper it like that. And try not to do this over your machine like I am, so those little slivers don't get inside of it. This is where you need to keep a bin handy. Okay, so this is salvageable. That's salvageable. The rest is not. So the rest goes in the bin. Okay, now just go ahead and reach in here and open up your zipper the rest of the way. This may be a locking zipper. With a locking zipper, you have to open the pole and have it be straight like this to unlock it. If you ever run into that issue, it's a locking. And see, there's I believe this little mark right here indicates it's a locking zipper. And you don't want to tear your stitches out, so be very careful when you do this step. So then reach to one of the corners. And if your vinyl is too heavy and thick, you can run it in a hot dryer, use a blow dryer or something heated up, and that'll soften it to help you turn it right side out. And we're just going to turn all the corners out. I missed a thread there. And this is when using your favorite turning device is very helpful. I'm going to use my 4-in-1 tool and help push out all those corners. So I try and get them out as much as I can with my fingers, because my fingers are not going to pull open the stitches. Once you start using tools, then you risk pulling open the stitches. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and reach in and use this end of it and just kind of push out gently those corners. Gently. And then run this along this inside edge on the bottom and the sides, the seam allowance. It just kind of helps push it out a little bit more. Some people are really good at pulling these corners out using a pin. I'm not one of those people. I can only do it like this. So I don't get as good of a job, but that's okay. All right, and then turn it up here. Do those corners. Don't forget those upper corners. All right, there we go. How cute is that? Now, if your bag is puffy like this, see my corners need some work on them. But if your bag is puffy like this, you can flatten it with a heavy book or something, and you can roll these seams through your fingers like this. Get some of these clips out and roll it. See how I'm rolling it against each other? And then put the clip on it. It'll leave a little clip mark temporarily, but this will help try and train that seam to stay flat. So you put these little clips on it and leave them set overnight, and it usually will help train the vinyl to stay flat. And alternatively, like I said, you can use a book. But it's hard to get these sides out and use a book, so the clip method usually is a little bit better idea to help keep the sides open. If you have a favorite method of doing this, let me know in the comments below. I promise I'll try and look at them. I apologize in advance, but I don't get notifications of YouTube comments for some reason, and I have to remember to actually go in and look, and unfortunately I tend to forget to do that. So I'm trying to be better about that lately, but you can always reach me on Facebook. All right, so anyway, you get the gist. So we would just leave these here. I would roll out the bottom too, leave them there, and then there's your cute little pouch. And you can, I mean, it's a nice size pouch. Let's see what it finished out to be. Oh, I dropped the ruler. I'll put it in the comments what it ends up being. It's going to be just under 5 by 7. But how it centers that panel perfectly. It's adorable. Oh my gosh. And it's perfect little pouch. So you have all this space inside. You can put your keys, your AirPods. I don't know what else you would fit in here. But craft fair times are going to be coming up soon when the school starts back up, school craft fairs. And you have all these panels and you need to use them. And I think what I'm going to do is, this one's 5 by 7. I can see there's a lot of white space here. I'm going to make another one that's a little bit shorter so that you can use. You'll have to measure the panels where your extra space is. No, ignore that. I'm not going to do that. So this is going to be a freebie in my group. Today's July 2nd. I don't know if it'll forever be free. July 2nd, 2025. But it'll be free for some period of time. at least until the end of the year. But it's specifically intended for my punk embroidery panels. This is what I designed for. My punk embroidery is my absolute favorite vinyl supplier. If you've been following me any length of time, you know that. I have hundreds of yards of vinyl I'll never use, but she who dies with the most vinyl wins, right? But yeah, they're my absolute favorite, and I had to get these panels. I'm like, what am I going to do with these panels? And I realized, oh, they're perfect just to make a cute little bag. And you can make it even more valuable by lining it so it's all lined, and then people won't see these raw edges inside. But you can see nobody's going to be looking too carefully. And you have the little tab that helps when you're zipping it. So you can go like this. You can hook a split ring through that, whatever. All right, guys. Hope you like it. Thanks.